Did you have a chance to look at the documentation on which fields you think would be most useful for the Colorado versus Florida data? Which fields we want to end up with? Did you have a look at?
Yeah, we did. I had sent you an email with all of our fields listed out in it. Did you get that?
I don't know. Did you just send it?
No, sir. I sent it yesterday.
I did not see it come in. Did you send it to my Adams?
Oh, damn it. No, I sent it to your email again.
Okay. That's why I didn't see it.
I've done that so many. Because I added your name into our address bar and your email popped up and I'm like, oh good, there it is.
There it is, got you. Well, okay, so good. So if you resend that, I have my own ideas. And I will take a quick look. So let me share the screen here. And here's the documentation. And I've already experimented on the code, and now that I know how to split everything out, I can get any piece of information. Looking at, and that's probably still pretty small. I don't know if it shows up big enough in Florida.
Hold down control and then the mouse wheel up.
There we go.
That's good.
So that's good. So obviously some things we're going to need on the data. The first 4 digits aren't part of are a completely different record. So we ignore the first 4 digits. And then the 5th, 6th, and 7th, which are listed. So we add 4 to the field record position to get the actual position. Since it's all 15M data, that's not useful because there's not going to be anything there.
Yep.
Question that you want to ask is the station ID going to be useful? Remember what the goal is, which is going to be classifying as the state. We don't care about anything else. So part of that is the state code, so we will need that state code for the class. Right, Colorado versus Florida. I think what I experimented with, and it's obviously crucial, is the element units, because some of the measurements were done in tenths of inches, and other measurements were done in hundredths of inches. Once we know which one it is, we'll be able to convert, but when we try to put this into a CSV file, it's probably good to keep this in, and then we can take care of the adjustments either in translating it into the CSV file or after the CSV file is created. There are 2 ways to do that. Probably year might be important, the month, because we're going to look for patterns, and the days. Oops, am I going the wrong way? So I don't know if you had a chance to actually look at what the data looks like. There's a lot of kind of oddities, and that a lot of the data kind of in their data changed halfway through the collection. But most of it's pretty similar. You have to keep track. Some data is sometimes deleted. Okay, so you already have that. I see that now. So you're already going through it. Pardon?
column as
Right.
far as what we thought would be relevant. And then I put a sample line of data at the bottom there that shows basically, columns separated by tabs of what we'd like to have.
Hi, Katie.
Right, right. So, as you said, the first seven columns are not necessary. So then you want the next 8 as 2 columns. So one being the state and one being the rest of the station ID. The QPCP. So you want the hundredths, just like what we talked about, hundredths versus tenths.
Yep.
So now you have your date, and then your next columns. Okay?
And there's one more thing that I didn't mention in there. I think that any line that has a 99999 in it,
Right.
we can dump the entire line.
You can what?
I think we can dump the entire line for any entry that has a 9999 in it, because
Okay.
that indicates some kind of bad data. And I figure it's not even worth dealing with the bad data.
Okay, then I will take this over the weekend, and I should have finished MATLAB code to do exactly this and write it out as a CSV file.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Does that sound like a plan? And I will send also the CSV file, or the MATLAB code. So if you decide, as you start going through this, that you want to change your fields, you can see what I did there.
Okay, and once it's in a CSV file, it's fairly easy for me to manipulate it in MATLAB, so.
Right. Does that sound like a plan for the Florida group?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So with that, let's move to right. So here's exactly what you were talking about. The original data were received but were unreadable or clearly recognized or noise. It's a flag 99999.
99999.
So that's what you were talking about, right? Am I?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk the atom state groups.
Okay.
Okay? Has anyone started looking at the problem in more depth?
Just reread it.
Reread it? I've put some more data. I've updated the project description.
Okay.
Although the first step is still the same. Nothing changed on the first step. It's farther down. Has anyone started looking at getting the data?
That was my plan for this weekend.
That's your plan for this weekend, Drew?
Same.
I've downloaded the data,
You've downloaded the data. Have you started looking at what it looks like?
not in depth.
Not in depth?
Well, just looking at what we have so far with the stuff you provided on there, to me, it looks really confusing because it all belongs together. Is there a way for it to be like more open, I guess, to read? Because right now reading it is like a nightmare.
Right. I mean, that's because there's a lot of data, right? So should we bring that?
Yeah, sure. You've already downloaded the soft file.
Oh, I've already downloaded the soft file, you're right. Thank
Can
you.
you open it in like Microsoft Word though this time instead of WordPad?
It's not gonna look any
Well, that way
prettier.
you can like
Well, you
put
can
it
open it
over.
up in
Open it.
landscape.
Yeah,
And then
Okay.
all the things on one line will be one line.
yeah. So right click, open with,
Open.
Yeah.
and then just you can do other
Microsoft Office.
Right there.
Where?
Down.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yes,
Close that, and just go to other programs, it should be there. If
it
you,
wasn't.
no, if
No.
you hit the drop down, no, hit cancel. And see where it says other programs?
Yeah, do that.
Oh, yeah, dropped down.
There.
Yeah, and then Microsoft Word should be there. And then,
my name is Steve. Welcome to Business Service.
you want page layout.
No, it's not page one.
No, you want page layout,
The
not
tab
view.
on top. There you go.
Okay. And then orientation.
There you go. No.
And then make it full screen.
That's a little bit better.
Is that any, so really, most of this, there it is, that's where it starts.
Can you open this in Excel as opposed to Microsoft Word right away?
Well, so, I mean, yeah, I mean, so really, it's pretty straightforward. If you think about it, you strip off probably everything from here above, right? Because you want your ID reference identifier and all of that across the top.
Okay, and that's just one column, right?
Right. Now, I'm not sure about saving it within Word, but
Maybe Notepad Plus or something.
in fact, what we want to do, and this is one of the things you're going to want to do, I should be able to save it as a text file or
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You can just do it in your downloads.
yeah, I'm going to do it there. And plain text.
Oh, hi, Taylor.
Okay? So we'll just save it like that with a tab as the delimiter. Okay? And so then we'll try opening it in Excel. And in fact, I probably don't need Word at this point.
So you can just hit the start button down at the bottom.
And then program file, right?
There's Excel, it's right there.
Did it come up?
No, it's over there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
right
up
there.
there.
It's just minimized.
To the right.
Behind something. Go down.
Yeah, it's on your start menu.
Oh, there it is.
Soldiers, man.
Okay, so we want to
That's AOE.
open. And we want text files, so we're going to do all files. And what was the name of it? GDS text.
The one down there.
Yeah, that one, the Notepad one.
Actually, you know what, we don't want to open it that way, we want to import it.
Right, okay, so yeah, go to your new then. Yeah. Just
And then that's good.
the blank workbook.
And then we're going to do an import, is that under insert,
We may.
No,
file, import,
There's export, but no.
there's export.
There's insert, maybe it is just insert. The table illustrations apps.
No, insert,
Text.
I want to
That's just
import.
a text box. It doesn't
I love
work.
looking,
Not page layout, only data.
Get external data.
Yeah, over there.
From
From
text.
text.
Sweet.
Oh, no.
Sweet. Awesome.
Import. There you
Okay, and now we want count commas or tabs, yep, that's what we want. And next, we want tab delimiter, that should be it. Finish.
Yay.
So does this help?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. That's it right
That's a
there.
lot better.
Right, I mean, this is one of the first things you're gonna wanna do with this data, is to put it into a form. See, you've actually got, for this part of it, not for the rest of it, but for this part of it, you have an easier task.
Right.
They have a harder task
Organizing the data.
getting the data into a CSV format to begin with.
Right.
But then once it's there, it won't be as tricky to work with. They won't have the manipulations that you guys
Huh.
need to work with in terms of taking the log base too and so on.
So if we have multiple identifiers of the same type, so like two sumo twos,
Right.
you want us to average
You're gonna
each one of
average,
those
you're gonna average
reading
each
points?
one of those. So you're
Okay.
gonna, and that's something you could do easily within Excel.
Yeah.
So, or you could do that using a quick MATLAB.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's something you could do. Notice how I said that. Pretty easily using an if statement. And you could do, if you're gonna say, if you look through all the rest, is there another sumo too? And you could do that as an if statement in Excel.
Like if
And average all of the, fine, or, one thing you could do really easily, hopefully, I mean, there should be, the size of this, I don't know how large this is.
Couple,
Oh my god, like
15,000.
Yeah, well,
that's awesome.
guess what, Embry-Riddle's,
I don't even wanna know.
No.
it's 168,000.
Oh my goodness.
records, but don't forget, a lot of those were those 9999s.
9999.
Oh, excuse me, 99999.
You ruined the funny joke.
But so, right, one thing you can do, hey, wait, here's some missing data you just came across.
Okay, so with that.
You don't know what that gene is.
So what do we do with that?
Well, isn't that one of the things you have to decide?
We decide if we disregard it or if we can find the information to
Right.
classify it into.
Right.
Or are they gonna
Something.
So one thing, an easy way for you, I mean, it's 15,000 lines, but I've taken a quick look at this data already, and I do know that there are not, most of the values are not averaged. Some of them are. So one thing you could do, I'm thinking, is you could order your data by your gene name. So all of your sumo 2s will be together.
That makes sense.
Now that's a lot of hand manipulation. You might not want to do that. You might want to do a MATLAB script outside of the CSV file. But I mean, there are things that one can do, and I can, that's something I can also help with. But and I mean, this is kind of how I view this project, just as with what the Embry-Riddle group did from Wednesday to today, they are telling me what it is that they want me to code,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So once you start looking at the data, just as I'm kind of giving some hints on how you might start looking at it, I can help out by writing quick MATLAB scripts to transform that data, average pieces you want.
Okay.
Is that, so when I do say quick, it's not a lot of lines.
Okay.
I mean, I think what I did was like maybe 10, 20 lines so far for the Embry-Riddle group.
Okay.
It's pretty minimal. It's not a huge thousands of lines of code type task.
All right.
But since this is your project, not my project, your mission is to tell me what it is you need. And I will be able to help you on that, once you tell me exactly what you need. And in this part of it, you can work together until we get things a little bit more process.
Right.
Does that sound
So
good?
Are we gonna hold off on the whole Moses deal for a minute then? Or do you want us to start installing stuff?
So Jeremiah and I installed it so far on one of the supercomputers. Because there's some issues with another one of the Linux side supercomputers, I started looking at doing, because it's within OpenCog, and that's containerized so that it's actually, you can install it as a virtual machine and it can be installed anywhere.
Okay.
On Linux, on Windows, or on Mac. It's all you need is, it's gonna be a Linux container, Linux virtual machine in whatever operating system you're looking at. And Moses is in there.
Okay.
And on that, what you might start doing is, and I can point you to the documentation, is starting to read a little bit about Moses. But the more urgent priority is to start working with the data, because once we get it to the form where you're ready to work with Moses, I can help with that.
Okay.
I've used it quite extensively. I mean, it's going to be a command line runs is what you need to do.
Your buddy invented it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
does that make sense?
So we just want to organize the data.
Right now, you're still in the pre-processing stage. Yeah, I gave you, eventually we need to put it in binary form for the 379 group. The WECA group is going to be having it in continuous form,
Okay.
okay? Unless one of the algorithms that you want to work with requires something else.
Okay.
In which case you still might want to discretize it.
Okay.
Who's all 379 and 479?
You're 379.
Yeah, who's
Drew's 379. Cody's 379.
Scrub.
Jeremiah's 379.
And then so is James.
James is
James
479.
479.
Pablo is 479.
Eric.
So basically,
Eric.
the cool kids are 479.
Katie, and the other James
Yeah.
is 379. So James is 429.
That's what it is.
And then James says it's 379.
These aliens doing the Three Stooges. Look at you.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway,
Sorry.
You and your 3 kids.
does that put things in perspective? So I think it should be, so if you look at data, sort. Let's just continue with that selection, for example, and I'm just already playing around with it.
Can't you just sort by like A, B, and
A to Z.
yeah?
You need to move from identifier to,
Thought I-
crap.
You do have it.
or is
sorted.
it identifier?
I thought I had the right column selected.
I thought,
Just hit the AZ at the top.
Other one. Whatever.
well, Z to A will work just as
Yeah.
good as A to Z.
Yeah,
So just
Both
hit
work.
sort.
I just want the current selection.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, see, now that, did that mess up all the rest of our data?
that just,
It did, I mean, it did, but we can change that, so.
Wait.
Yeah, you're correct.
It just erased that row.
It just arranged that row.
And
Oh,
now
so you'd have
everything
to
else is
select
in a
the-
line.
You're gonna have to select everything,
The entire.
Control A should select everything. Or that.
or that.
So don't you have to undo what you just did real quick? Or
You
did
did.
you
I
already
did.
do that? Okay.
If you control Z.
Control Z, I already undid it.
Yeah, I missed.
So, lowest to highest, I'm gonna have to select a column. It didn't,
No,
It did it by the first column.
it did it by the first column, which is,
we don't really need that ID reference, do we?
right, so I was gonna do it on everything to the right here.
Yep.
Now do A to Z on the first column.
Alright.
Now, what happened? Something weird happened here.
Looks like some of the identifiers are dates.
Yeah, alright.
Is that what happened? Okay.
What it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now, but let's,
No, because some of the stuff that was there is not there.
It just moved down into alphabetical.
so that could be something that imported somehow incorrectly. I mean, I'm not saying that what we have here, but if you take a look, notice everything's now grouped. So here we do have two values
Oh, look at that.
that we're gonna wanna average.
Oh, okay.
ABC.
It seems weird,
Well, look at those numbers are like really different.
they're really different. So what's going on there?
I'd say changing age or something. I don't even know
So-
what I'm looking at. Those.
Cause that's one of the things we wanted to do. Let's take a,
I've got a question for you, Doctor.
remember you're gonna do log base 2. Here's
Well, the
another
age,
2.
The
No.
age is
Another
stored
3.
as either 0 or 1. So
Right, we haven't done that yet. We haven't put that in.
There's 3
it
there.
should be in there though already.
The one above,
shouldn't it?
what you have
No.
highlighted.
Okay.
Yeah, the 0 and 1 should be in there already. Because that was in the documentation that the age is set up as 0.
No, I think I'd said I think you have to put that in.
Oh,
In your paper, you said yes, that we had to put it in, but in their
So-
documentation, I think it said it was stored as 0 or 1.
Are you talking about on the site where we get the data?
Yeah.
Okay.
And how do we average 0 and 1? Because it come out to half every time.
That's funny.
Right, no, I mean, if so, right, so you have to read it carefully. And now, I mean, these should be coming,
So it's
oh,
so in terms of what I said, you have to read carefully and make sure that you're averaging exactly the same values. They should be coming from the same genes, they should be coming from the same probe, which means it's coming from the same age. And
Okay.
we haven't, yeah,
so when you're looking at that, okay, can you find like the 2 gene identifiers again? Like find one that has 2 and then.
okay, I switched it back, just so I didn't change it. But let's just take a look at this sumo. 2, this is the gene, and these are our basically kind of our different samples,
Right, the probes.
the different probes.
Right, but my question is like when you're averaging the 2, does that have to be the same exact probe?
Yeah.
Right, it's gonna be the same probe,
Okay,
because that's gonna be from the same.
so you need to take an average of each probe too, and then average everything?
No,
Or-
no, because the probes are coming from different
Okay.
samples, right? So what you wanna do, and I wanna make sure that this is clear, and I don't,
Yeah, and
let's take a look, cause I like that sumo too.
that's just, I don't see anything.
And quite a few of those names
I thought that for sure there was, multiples of the sumo too, but I guess not.
Well, okay, so like we saw just a minute ago, we had 2 the same exact name, but the
Right.
values.
Here we go.
Yeah. The value.
Okay, so we've got surf 4,
Well,
right?
those are a little more. Those are like way closer together than the other values.
Right, but if you, even here, take a look at it. Because it's almost like you had 2 different measurements and they were different,
Yeah.
right? But they were kind of agreed across the board. If you take a look at, this one versus this one, it's 300s versus 600s, 300s versus 600s.
Yeah.
So one of them's just kind of reading consistently lower than the other one in all of the different
Okay, so
expressions. And so those would be the 2 you would average.
Yeah, see that's still.
And then you would average these two and these
See,
two.
that's what I was asking.
That's,
So you
yeah,
have to average.
that's why I was asking, it doesn't seem like. I don't know why that would give us something that we were looking for.
Well, you're getting two different measurements
Yeah, but the other
of
one,
the
it
same
had like,
thing.
it had something that was like 500, and then the other one was like 1500.
Okay,
Okay, so we still want to take the average of those two values?
right. I mean, here's another example.
Yeah. it's like that
STX
right
six, 257.4, but again, notice this one's 257, this one's 225, but both of them are around 800 on the second one.
there. Yeah.
So it's, for some reason, this one just like had weird. These are all like 2 to 3 times as high
Strange. It seems
as
to
the
me.
corresponding other one.
It seems to me like we want to be looking at the change, how the 1 point changes to the other.
I mean, and here's an even
not the
bigger,
actual points.
here's an even bigger one. It almost looks like a decimal error.
Yeah, that's why I don't know. It's
And these two you would average. And maybe they did it twice because they noticed that there was weirdness in their values.
Well, I haven't really noticed anything else that
Okay,
was
my
really in the
question
single
is it the
digits.
same, is it the same person or whatever thing they're
I
testing
can't answer
on?
that because I don't know.
Because that would,
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, how is it?
21.
What does the average do for us there?
Gives us one data point.
It gives us one data point for that particular
Instead of a lot of them are.
expression.
I guess we'll just have to,
And remember, you're gonna then take log base 2, so those differences are not gonna be as large as they seem.
It's just weird. Like, I understand what we're supposed to do. I don't see why it should be working.
What I'm still wondering is why isn't there the ages in this one? Because there should be. I remember in this one it was 6 months.
Well,
15
okay,
months,
so,
and
yeah,
30.
I mean, this is, so all of these, so from this particular value, you're gonna get the age based on what's up here,
Okay.
so our age is based on the
on the actual values. So some of these, GSMs, as I recall, I mean, that goes back to getting the data, and that's where I would, are we still sharing the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanna go to data mine.
Deadline.wordpress.com. You're
Data
welcome.
mine, data mine.
And project information, and we wanna go to data sources.
I was beating you by 28.
So where does the data come from? And some of them, right, it's not given, it's given by which groups, and so let's search for it here. Wait, let's look at the GDS, because I know that number by heart. 1280. So, and we looked at was it here? So if I look at, for example, this information, so this is what you have to put in by hand.
Okay, so the.
So GSM 74342, that's this one right here, that's spinal cord, 6 months.
Oh, man. Okay.
And I give you a hint on what's considered, and I give the information a 0 or 1 for the Moses, which is young or old, on the project sheet.
Okay.
So those you would put in down at the bottom of that column. So under GSM 74342, age will be 0.
So for the 0 and 1, would you do like a comparison type of thing? If GMS, whatever.
Well, I would just, cause there's,
Equals
if you look
slash.
at, if you look at the actual files, there's not that much that you have to do. You could do it at the beginning too. This, I mean, the number of columns you have to manually annotate, it goes up to T,
That's
right? So at the bottom, you'll put 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1.
Should the WECA group still use 0 and 1, or should we use 6 months, 18 months, and 30 months?
That's a good question. For comparisons at this stage, I'm just gonna do a binary classification on the age.
Okay.
Okay, so that we can compare the two groups.
Would 18 months be considered old then?
Well, that's in the information
On
that-
WECA.
on the project sheet that I
Okay.
provided.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's considered young, what's considered old.
Okay.
In fact, if we go the data mine again, project information. So let's take a look at the 479. I've updated the 479, by the way, and the 379 instructions, because you're going to combine all of your data sets.
Yeah.
So downloads,
So here's yours.
and I think that's this one here. So if we look here, here's what you're going to annotate. So for example, we were looking at that spinal cord information. Right down here, GSM 74342, at the bottom you're going to put a 0 because that's young, 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 old, 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 old. So 6 months is young, 18 months is old. That's the distinction that was made there.
Okay. So yeah.
In other words, I've given the information down there.
Alright,
Okay.
I think you still need a update on the 379 worksheet.
I did.
It has a
Still
like,
says 479.
it just says one data collection and one data preparation. It doesn't have anything for classification.
You sure? Because I just uploaded it this morning.
Yeah. Adams State University 379 group.
go to the web.
It may say 479 at the top, but
All it has is a data collection and data preparation. It doesn't say
Yeah.
anything about your classification.
application.
Yeah.
But it says WECA at the bottom there. It talks about using WECA.
Mhm. The last thing it says is you'll next
yeah.
combine the .cbs files into a single file so that there are 41 samples.
So that's a new
And
version.
then go back.
Yeah, I guess it isn't different from ours.
And then it says finally you'll use WECA. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's your new one. I mean, that's an updated and more detailed
Okay.
instructions. So I want to make things clear. So I'm going to read David's email. I'm going to work on that version of MATLAB to help them put it into a CSV format. Is it clear for the Adams group what your next steps are?
CE.
Yeah. Get the data. Put it in a
And here's going to be the hard thing. I'm going to quit here and yeah, they have. Here's the thing that you should be aware of. What was I? There was something I was saying. On the Adams State group, one of your big tricks and one of the hard things that's going to be difficult. You've got those 15,000 some for the Moses group, for the 479 group.
Okay.
And I think possibly also for the WECA group, I have to think about that. You're going to have to rotate that,
Oh, I forgot we had to
transpose the file. In other words, right now,
It's this way?
the instances are in columns. That way in WEC, it's also gonna have to be transposed. The instances need to be in rows. What we have are 15,000 different gene expressions, features. Not that many samples. And actually, think about this proactively, because ultimately you're going to work in each of those 4 CSV files, right? In the end, you want to merge them. And that means wherever there's overlap, those are the only genes you're going to keep. So that's why if you read that, what you just said there, there's going to be 10,000 features left out of those original 15,000. Because some of those are unique to different things. So the trick is going to be also merging those 4 files into one large one. So, I think we went through a lot. Is it clearer now that we're kind of diving in and actually beginning to take a look at the data and what we have to do, the averaging, then we have to take the log base too, then we have to merge these files, and I will look at this Gmail message from Emory Riddle over the weekend. I'll finish the MATLAB script to do what they tell me to do, and you need to do the same thing. Come up with kind of a specification for me to write a code if you need it.
Okay.
Okay? Questions?
That actually helped a whole lot.
That helped a lot. Nick? Katie? Questions in Florida?
Any questions? No?
Hello?
No, we have, yeah.
I didn't say these tasks were going to be easy. This, you know,
This is the
with-
project.
with the toy problems, yeah, all the data's already like there, right? But when you're actually getting out in the real world, this is more what you have to, you had a question, Drew?
Yeah, so when we merge those 4 different files, it's gonna be, all the data is gonna kind of intermingle with each other. It's not gonna be like one data set after another,
Well, basically, if you notice, they come from different instances, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have that many rows, ultimately, after it's transposed.
Okay.
But in terms of the columns, you're not gonna have all of the genes, you're only gonna use the genes that appear in all of 4 of your files.
Okay.